grossly unfair that this community, the reasons for which it is denied minority status. To be very frank, I would want Jains to get a national minority status, and after getting it and proving the point, they should say that we want no benefits under the same. But your status should be recognized, because you are seeking the status not merely for the benefits which one notification of central government or another notification gives, but to prove a point. If I tell you, and I have now on the plane today and little yesterday studied this subject a little more detail, it is almost comical. If it was not tragic, it would be comical as to why Jains are not a national minority. It is indefensible, and no Supreme Court judgment, no Supreme Court judge, no legislation on logic can deny this, is my conviction. Yet there is unfortunately a Supreme Court judgment which seeks to strike a different tone, and I will deal with it. But consider objectively these facts. The fact that the test of minority nowhere can be predominantly or exclusively backwardness. I think the amount and extent of literature which proves and shows that the roots of this religion lie in antiquity. They lie in antiquity far more antique than the roots of Vedic Hinduism. And from Bhagavad Puran onwards, the Minority Advisory Committee was created to advise the Constituent Assembly. They looked and put a Jain nominee only because they knew and considered Jains to be a minority ever since the modern Indian state's constitution was being framed. Radhakrishnan, one of the most eminent philosopher-historians, in his volume 1 on Indian philosophy, specifically starts with Bhagavad Puran recognizing Rishabdev. And Rishabdev being worshipped from before, some centuries before Christ. Jawaharlal Nehru, the creator of modern India more than the Prime Minister of India, recognized repeatedly Jains along with Sikhs, Parsis, Christians and Muslims and others as Indian minorities. And he addressed a meeting on the 3rd of September 1949 at Allahabad, where he very officially proclaimed this. Next year, his secretary wrote to several Jain delegations in 1950 on behalf of the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. And I quote, he said, "No reason to think that Jains are Hindus. Article 25 explanation mentions Sikhs and Buddhists also. No doubt they are a distinct religious community." When Jawaharlal Nehru wrote his Discovery of India in jail and out of jail, he devoted a large section on the great tradition of Jainism, which had mixed like sugar and milk with Hinduism, cross-fertilizing, promoting and benefiting each culture, but never forgetting its independent existence as an independent religion. There's a very nice passage in Discovery of India. Dr. Jyoti Jain, of course, an eminent Jain writer, has said the same thing. The United Nations defined a community and a minority, and the definition, I will not bore you with the quotation, clearly fits all those communities who recognize an independent religious tradition, treat themselves as a separate as a separate community, and follow a different religion. And obviously Jains satisfy it. Every major encyclopedia, and the two best known in this field are the Encyclopedia of World Religions and the Britannica Encyclopedia, classify Jainism as an independent, ancient religion, completely independent of Hinduism, which is not to create a divergence or a dichotomy between the two, but to note each existence as a separate distinct. There are at least 10 judgments. Each Metropolitan High Court, and I'm not going to argue like a lawyer here before this community, but I want to tell you, each of the 4 Metropolitan High Courts, Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, Madras at that time, and Calcutta, have judgments directly recognizing Jainism as a distinct religion. You have to only add Jainism as a religion with the numerical minority of 0.4% to obviously state a self-evident proposition, namely Jains are a minority. As far back as 1927, Madras High Court held so. In 1939, a Bombay High Court judgment in detail held so. In 1951, shortly after independence, a powerful bench of Justice Chagla and Gajendra Gatkar, and I'm not boring you with the citations and the details, you are lawyers, you can find them. Number two, and then I've already made the point, so I'm not going to elaborate. Number two is to make and consider shaping a good, whether an Article 32 petition or any other appropriate proceeding in the Supreme Court, to directly or indirectly seek the overruling of this completely illogical, untenable, unsustainable Supreme Court judgment of 2005. And I would be happy to be of whatever assistance is required in this subject. And I have no doubt that with slight amount of luck, if and when that is filed, the Supreme Court will see reason. After all, Supreme Court has now review petitions, curative petitions, and even reviews of curative. And therefore, fallibility is a human error or quality which the Supreme Court recognizes more than anything else. So I am confident it will lead to the creation of proper good law and remove this obviously discriminatory injustice against Jains.